Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Candy Shop. I don't know why I'm a little blurry. Hopefully, my camera will refocus. But welcome to the Candy Shop. This is the review of Sinners. Such a phenomenal movie. Be sure to hit my like button, subscribe to my channel, run my likes up, please. So I'm gonna jump right into it. This movie was phenomenal from start to finish. It was awesome. Hey, Deb. So we start off with Smoke and Stack at the very beginning. Michael B. Jordan plays both parts, which is phenomenal. I guess they used CGI. I don't know what they did, but I couldn't tell that it was one person playing the two roles because it was so different in his performance and what he did. I definitely want to talk about the themes and get into the characters. This is going to be kind of unstructured due to the fact, hey, real estate insider, due to the fact that it's a lot going on. It's a lot to unpack. So in the beginning, though, we get Smoke and Stack coming in, buying their juke joint. They're coming from Chicago. Allegedly, now this is one of the conspiracy theories. They were working for Al Capone. They may be responsible for the St. Valentine's Day massacre that happened in Chicago. They had went to World War I, so they toured and been all over the place, and we are introduced to them in the beginning. Actually, the opening scene, though, we're introduced to one of my favorite characters in the movie, which is Mr. Sammy, played by Miles Caton. He's new. I didn't know this was his first role. When the movie was shot, he was 19. He's now 20. So to me, he did an awesome job. But we are introduced to him in the very first scene where he's coming into the church. Kind of reminded me of The Color Purple, the church scene in The Color Purple where Suge comes back to the church. So we're starting somewhat at the end of what has happened in this movie. So he comes into the church. We're introduced to his father. At that time, we don't know it's his father, but we're introduced to his father. He comes into the church. He's holding half of a guitar, and his face is scratched. Like, my first thoughts when I saw him, I thought he was a vampire coming to just kill everybody in the church, to be honest, because we don't know what's going on. And it's just so dramatic in how they introduce it. But we flash back to the day before. And so when I saw that we were flashing back to the day before, I'm just shocked. Like, what could have occurred in this day? So that's when we do meet Smoke and Stack. And so, like I said, they're from Chicago. They're buying this juke joint. They are talking with a white man. He is, I guess, selling them this. It was an old sawmill. I don't know what it was, but he's selling them this mill to make their juke joint. They have all this cash. At one point, they was going to pull out guns and start shooting. So it was just right off top. It's just like, what is going on? And I'm sorry if my camera is getting blurry. I might have to cut it off for a second. But then I'm gonna cut my camera off just for a second to let it refocus. And you might see my husband's picture because he used my StreamYard. I'm gonna turn the camera back on. Then we get back to, I don't know why I'm blurry. Then we get back to Smoke and Stack. They start building their crew. And so they somewhat separate because Sammy meets up with them. Sammy has gone and did his work for the day. We can see he works in the fields picking cotton. He's a part of I guess he's a sharecropper. He's a part of a sharecropping family. At that time, since the movie takes place in 1932, this was very common for Black folks. He's a sharecropper, but so he's doing his job. He goes to his father. He's like, hey, I want one night to spend time, do me, enjoy life. I deserve it. And I agree with him because sometimes we need that outlet. So then they separate. Smoke and Stack separate, and Sammy goes with Stack and Smoke, because I get them mixed up. I think Smoke is the more serious brother. He is the one wearing blue, and his brother Stack wears red. And already you get the theme of good and evil. In that sense, red pill, blue pill, whatever you want to call it, they are in different colors. And that's, to me, a key symbol in the movie right there. But they separate. One thing that stood out to me when they separated, though, was when Smoke told Sammy to go with Stack, he was basically like, watch him. And I'm thinking, why do you got to watch him? So already that's building up to me that Stack is not as, I would say, stable as Smoke. He's not as swift. He's not as fast. So they separate. I love the scenes that building up with Stack and Sammy going to the town. And when they're in town or whatever, Stack has a conversation with a young woman. Smoke goes into town. He has a conversation with a young woman telling her to wash their truck. He teaches her how to basically know her value. They start negotiating prices of what he's gonna charge her for watching his truck, or what she's gonna charge, or whatever. But anyways, fast forward to we're introduced to Grace and Bo Chow. So this was pretty interesting to me. Grace and Bo Chow are Chinese Americans, and a lot of people are surprised that the Chinese Americans were in this movie. What people don't know is back at that time, there were a lot of Chinese in the Mississippi Delta. They were the ones that were open to servicing Black people. But the one thing that got me was Grace was working across the street in the more white store, whereas Bo was in the Black store that serviced Black people. And already that's one of the themes in the movie. Bo seems like he's more open to Black people, whereas Grace seems like she just accommodates us. She wants our money. Typical to how they are today. I don't, no offense, and some of the things that I might say may be controversial, and I'm sorry, but these are some of my thoughts on it. So Grace, to me, does not seem like she is there because she's family. Bo seems more like family. Grace seems more like she's there to help. And we learn later on in the film she's there to serve herself. So they Smoke has a scene with them where he's asking them to make signs and all this other stuff. The young girl that's watching his truck honks the horn. He goes out. There's some people trying to steal from his truck. Two of these people he's familiar with, but he shoots them because he can't let anybody know that people can get over on them. And I was just shocked by that, because like, wow, he's shooting him right in the middle of the street with all these people, with white folks, Black folks, everybody there. He's just shooting. So already that's setting up the tone that Smoke and Stack are not to be played with. Going on from there, we get to Stack at the train station, where he's recruiting one of my other favorite characters in the movie, Delta Slim, played by Delroy Lindo, accomplished actor, British actor Delroy Lindo. So they're there to recruit him. This is where, to me, the 7 deadly sins come into play. His sin, to me, is it's drinking, it's alcohol. It can also be looked at somewhat as, to me, gluttony a little bit too, because he's all about drinking. He plays an instrument. He plays the blues. I believe he plays the harmonica. Stack is asking him to come and play in their club, and he's motivated by money. And what do we know in the Bible? Money is the root of all evil. And one of the themes of this movie, of course, is spirituality, and to me, money, and being the root of all evil. And hey, Cuzzo, thank you for joining. So he's convincing him to come and play with their band. Also with Sammy was about to play his guitar for him, and he's like, no, don't play that. And I think it has a double meaning for that. And that part where Delta Slim did not want Sammy to play his guitar, I think he didn't want him to take his money. But also, you never know with this movie what you're conjuring up. And to me, music is a big theme in this movie. Sammy is a pivotal, I can't even say it. He's a important character as it relates to his music. And so to me, when he's telling him not to play, I think he doesn't want him to conjure up anything in that sense. And that's just me thinking. That's one of my theories. We also know that, well, some people are saying that this was inspired by the actual guitar player, Robert Johnson, who was at the crossroads. He sold his soul to the devil. And so this character, I believe, was inspired by Robert Johnson, Sammy's character. But Delta Slim, Delroy Lindo, all of his scenes were phenomenal to me. We get to him in the car with Sammy and Stack, and he starts talking about what happened to him because they rolled by some prisoners. It looked like a chain gang or some prisoners working out on the road, and he starts to go into a story about how he was arrested. He basically he was them, but the way that he got out of being them on that chain gang was he played his music. And I'm sorry, spoiler alert. So if you have not seen this movie, you might not want to watch because I'm going to be talking about a lot of things in the movie. So, but we get to him, and this was one of my favorite parts in the movie because he's talking about his story. And so he said him and a partner played music. The white folks, in the prison, the police officers or the people that had them loved it. They took him out on the road. They got all this money. The guy ended up basically, I think Sammy asked him, well, what happened to your money? And so with his partner, Delta Slim's partner, who had gotten money from playing this music, he ended up, I guess, trying to leave town. He had all his money. He got to the train station. The white people looked at him funny and was like, what are you doing with all this money? And they arrested him and ended up lynching him. And so right then and there, he lost it. He was gone. And that was kind of emotional. And then he said for him, he ended up drinking his money away. That's main focal point is his drinking. That's the gluttony, him always drinking. And so it was pretty sad. And another thing that he mentioned in this, a key takeaway, was when he talked about how with organized religion and Christianity, that is something that they forced on us because Sammy, if you've seen this movie, Sammy is battling between being straight-laced and in the church and not playing his music, and then living and playing his music. And so his father would prefer for him not to play the guitar. He wants him to give up this music because the father feels like it brings the devil. One thing that Sammy's father told him was that when you dance with the devil, he might follow you home one day. And so the father feels like the music is related to the devil, whereas Orlando feels like blues is all that we have. Organized religion is something that was put on us to control us by white people. Christianity was put on us to control us. And blues is what we have naturally to just be us, to be free. And so to never lose that. They can never take that away from us. They love the blues, but they don't like us singing it. And so that was a powerful part for me. I saw an interview with Delroy Lindo where he said they had to drive around a couple of times because this was deep for him. It was longer than that scene was longer than what we saw because it was a very meaningful scene. So that was one of my favorite scenes. And I definitely like that. That played into one of the themes of it. When we look at the horror, when we look at vampires and different things and the music industry can be looked at as vampires selling your soul, and you live forever, your music lives forever, but you have to think about what cost you live at by selling your soul to the music industry. So that to me was a major theme in the movie as well. But fast forward, we go to Smoke, and we are introduced to one of my other favorite characters in this movie. Yes, so Wunmi Mosaku, who is a Nigerian British actress, played Annie, and I love her. She was in Lovecraft Country. She is a very good actress. I saw her in another movie where she was married to a guy or whatever. It was on Netflix, whatever. But I loved her in Lovecraft Country, and I loved her in this movie. She represents the hoodoo aspects. I've been seeing reviews where people are talking about voodoo. She is not practicing voodoo. She is practicing hoodoo. So a couple of things that stood out to me about Annie and her hoodoo practices were the fact that she's so in tune with her spirituality and just a caregiver, that I feel like a lot of Black people made the mistake of thinking that she was not his love interest, but his mother or his somebody older than him that was caregiving for him, and they couldn't see past that, and they couldn't see that this was his love interest. When I was introduced to her in the movie, I knew that they were together. With the way that they were talking and the way that she cared for him, I knew that they were together, and I was so glad that they represented us Black women, full figure, beautiful, spiritual, loving, and they used her to represent us very well. What people don't know as it relates to hoodoo, I might go on a soapbox just for a second. Hoodoo has a lot of ties to the Black community. When you think of a lot of Black religions, take my religion that I grew up in, Kojic. Kojic has a lot of hoodoo traditions that people don't realize. When you're conjuring up spirits, when you're shouting, and just different things are related to a lot of Black religions. But we're introduced to her in the movie. She is in Hey D Truth TV. Good to see you. We're introduced to her in the movie. She's selling some of her spells to children. They give her, it looks like, some money. I guess at that time in 1932, white people, and I don't, YouTube don't ban me. I'm gonna say white, Black, whatever. But white people, instead of giving us actual currency, they were giving like wooden coins, which we see later in the movie. These fake bills or whatever. She's taking it as payment, and Smoke is upset with her for not taking real money. He's saying that her magic and everything that she's doing means nothing. He's never seen this. He don't went to war, and the only thing that means something is money, and money is power. There again, we're introduced to the theme of money. Money, to me, as the Bible says again, is the root of all evil. And so he's saying money is power, and that's the only way you get noticed. And she's like, well, if this didn't work, then you wouldn't be here, because she gave him a mojo. He was, all the time that he was separated from her, he had a mojo on that she had made that was protecting him and his brother. What did you say, Deb? I'm going to see this over the weekend. Me and some of my new friends from training are going to see it. Yes, definitely go. And shout out to Dallas, Texas, one of my old cities that I used to live in. But yes, make sure you go see it. But her and Smoke are going back and forth about basically her practices. And then we find out that the child that he went and saw right before he saw her, they had lost a child. And on that grave, it said, or when he was at the grave, he said, "Daddy's home." And so they talk about that a little bit. I'll say this, in the movie, you come to realize that's part of the reason why he left, because Smoke and Stack were gone for a period of time in Chicago. So I believe one of the reasons why he left is he couldn't face the fact that he had lost his child, which I believe was a daughter. But we fast forward, they have a scene together where he he takes her down. and I loved it. I love seeing this Black man loving on this woman, loving her right. The only thing that I hate, though, is the fact that he left her, and he left her by herself to mourn the loss of their child. You can tell they have a very strong connection. The way that she looked after him, the way that she kept going, it says a lot. It says a lot about Black women in general. But fast forward. Yes, don't forget to smash that like button on your way in. So fast forward, I want to talk a little bit about Mr. Remick. So we're introduced to him. This man falls in, because I saw this movie with my husband, and when we saw him this past Thursday, he drops down from the sky. Immediately when he dropped down, I told my husband, I said, that's a demon, because we all know the devil was a fallen angel. And the way that this man fell, he just seemed like it was a fallen angel. So immediately I knew that something wasn't right. He seemed like a demon, and it seemed like he was either on fire, he was burning. It was a daytime. He drops down and he goes to a home. In that home are White Sheet Gang members. I'm not going to say their name, but White Sheet Gang members. And he's talking to them. He's like, "Oh, let me in. Let me in. Yes, I'm running from them," because when he's at this couple's house, they are holding up guns to his head, and they're like, who are you? What are you doing here? He was like, "Let me in. I'm here. Oh, we got to get the instead of saying Native Americans or Choctaw, which is what the tribe was, he's like, we got to get those Indians." And this was after he saw the white sheets that they had in the background. So they let him in. Immediately after, the Choctaw Indian or Choctaw Native American tribe shows up, and they knock on the door. The woman, which is strange, goes to the door, answers the door with her gun, and the guy is like, is there someone there with you? And she was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." The wife was saying, "I don't know what you're talking about." He's like, "If there's somebody there, he's not who he seems." And so his friend, the Choctaw friends in the background, is like, "Let's go." And so that's the last that we see of the Choctaw. They tried to warn the couple, but the white lady didn't put down that gun, and the Choctaw left on a horses, and they was out. So from that part, at that time, what I researched, Choctaw Native Americans, they were already in Oklahoma. So you can tell with this particular group, they might have been vampire chasers, because the only thing that doesn't make sense is why they were there in the Mississippi Delta at that time, because at that time they had already been displaced and moved to Oklahoma. I believe 100 years prior is what I saw. So, but they were chasing Remick. Then when she closes that door, this is what got me. She's calling her husband's name. She goes to the back of the house. There's a crib with nothing in it. And Remick is sitting there with a bloody face talking about, oh, he's here. And so that's when we find out that Remick is a vampire. He's a demon, and he's done ate the husband, bit the husband, and then he gets her. So moving on along, we get to the Jew joint. And I forgot to mention one person, one of my other favorite characters, Miss Pearline. So Miss Pearline was at the train station at the time when Stack and Sammy were recruiting Delta Slim. And this woman is so beautiful. She is played by Jamie Lawson. Very beautiful woman. Sammy is already just mesmerized by her. He can't get enough of her. He's trying to talk to her, and she was like, I'm a married woman. She walks off, and it's, let's just say it was cake for days. She has a body on her, and not to objectify this Black woman, but she was a very beautiful Black woman. And I know why Sammy was mesmerized. But moving on to the actual Jew joint scene. So when all of this is building up, I believe we're like 45 minutes to an hour into the movie. And already, I know some people had said the first hour was slow, but to me, I liked it. I like period movies. I like movies set back. I love Black culture. I love Southern Black culture. I'm from the Midwest. So anything related to where we come from and our history, I love. So the movie wasn't slow, but we get to the Jew joint scene. They're having the time of their lives. It's filled. We see, I'm remove her from the studio, and I'm going to add another file because we were introduced to a character. She's one of my least favorite. We were introduced to Miss Mary. So Miss Mary, so I'm going to say a couple of things about her. So Miss Mary is a white passing Black person. In today's time, she would be white. The reason why I say she's white passing is because we find out in her backstory that her grandfather is half Black. And so back in 1932, the one drop rule applied. She would have been considered a Black woman. So we find out, though, that Stack and her have a history. They dated each other. Stack somehow arranged for her to be married, and she's been white passing ever since. When she saw him at the train station, she was upset that he was there. She was upset that he left her all those years and that they weren't together. He's like, I set you up good. Basically, he set her up to be safe and to have a better life. And that time, a better life was, I guess, living white. And so we are introduced to her. But going to the Jew joint scene, she's at the Jew joint. She's in there. And she runs into Sammy. This part was funny to me. So she runs into Sammy. Sammy was like, what are you doing here? Or I forgot how it transpired. But she was like, he was like, I know the twins, I'm their cousin. And she was like, you don't know them or whatever. And she was like, boy, get the F out of my face. And that part, the Black came out of her. That part was funny. But the reason why she is my least favorite character is because, to me, she is the whole reason why everything went down and went awry. Because there's a scene in here where the white people show up. We have the couple and Remick show up to this Jew joint. They want to get in. And we all know from vampire movies that with vampires, you have to invite them in. They cannot just come in, or you have to go outside to them. And so the vampires come to the door, and everybody is standing there. They're like, you got Smoke, Stack, and you also got, I forgot another character that I'm going to bring up, one of my other favorite characters, Cornbread, played by Omar Benson. We have Omar there. He's a bouncer. So we have all these people standing there, and they are watching the vampires, the white people, come up to the door. They, of course, look clean. They're like, oh, we're from down the road. We heard the good music. And after the music that they heard, let me not skip over this. Like I said, this is unstructured. So the music that they heard Sammy playing his guitar. Sammy, there's a really good scene in this movie where Sammy plays his guitar, and this is where you see he conjures up all of our ancestors to people in the future, and it takes us through to all of the music, like the different styles of music, from blues to Motown to rap to just everything. He conjures up all these spirits in the movie, and you even have the ancestors of of Grace and Bo, the Chinese ancestors. So everybody is dancing there. So this is a great scene. Make sure you watch it. It's one of my favorite scenes. But anyways, going back to the scene with the white people. So they're like, we heard the music and we play music too. So they start singing this song called Pick Poor Robin Clean. And they're playing good. And it's very hold on. Okay. So we go to the scene though, and it's very good. They're playing their music, but the only thing about the song is it's so weird because they're like, pick poor Robin clean, pick poor Robin clean. They're singing it or whatever. And one thing that I saw, well, conspiracy theory about the movie is that Robin is supposed to be a baby that was in that empty crib from the couple's house, and that he ate the baby. And hopefully that's not it, but they sung a song called Pick Poor Robin Clean. And what was interesting is Stack, who is the more wild brother, he is kind of like in the music, but they still don't let him in. So they were all shocked. But going back to Miss Mary goes up the Stack, and she, I guess to prove herself, she wants to say, oh, I can get them in. They got money. They do this. They do that. And this is why I say I blame her. Stack is telling her not to go, but she's like, I want to go out there. I want to see if I can get them into the club, the juke joint. So they go. So she goes outside to the white people, the vampires, and of course they get her, which to me was her fault. She comes back and she goes to Cornbread. She's like, can I come in? And he was like, of course, you've been in here. So he lets her in. She gets with Stack, and oh my goodness. And it's done for her. She is putting it down on Stack. She bites him or whatever. But while all of this is going on, we have Pearline on the stage. Pearline is on the stage, feeling herself. And the reason why Miss Pearline is feeling herself is because Mr. Sammy, our star of the movie, one of our stars, he done put it on her. He found that button. And when you see the movie, you'll know what I'm talking about when we talk about the button. And hey, Mount Mitch, I'm sorry I didn't see you. We'll find out why he's talking, what the button is. But he puts it on her, and Miss Pearline is on the stage, and they're just jamming away. And so at this point, this is more of the climax of the movie. We're getting to everybody is starting to somewhat trickle out. When I'll say this, when when Mary bites Stack, because Stack gets bitten and turns into a vampire, that's when it's downhill from there. So Stack, they open the door. I'm trying to think because I'm starting to forget a little bit. So when it was a lot that happened. So I guess Cornbread was the first person. Cornbread asked Delta Slim to watch the door because Cornbread again was a bouncer. Cornbread goes to use the I guess use the restroom outside, and the vampires get him. So Cornbread is gone. Then we have Stack locked in the room because he's gone, or he's in the room with Mary because she's also a vampire. They're both gone. And so the part that's funny to me is Cornbread comes back up to this door. This is when things start to get real. So they end the party because of Stack being bitten, and they send everybody out. And so when everybody going out, Bo, which is the Chinese man, the Chinese husband to Grace, he goes out. He's saying he's getting the car. So everybody that's going out is basically getting bitten. But what's funny to me is Cornbread comes to this door. This movie has a lot of comedic relief. He comes to this door. They are at the door trying to everybody comes to the door and they're like, what's going on? And he's like, are you going to invite me in? And so Annie, she comes to the door, or she's at the door, and she was like, why are you asking for us to invite in? You've been coming in and out the whole night. Why do you need to be invited in? And so already she's starting to pick up what Cornbread is putting down. She already knows that something ain't right. And so she's the one that has basically told them that Stack is a vampire. That they need to protect themselves. They need to lock the doors. And so she's like, "Why? If your big self, why won't you come in, Cornbread? Why won't you come in?" He was like, "Why we trying to do things and blah blah blah." And Del Orlando asked him like, "What are we trying to do in the theater?" And the theater I was in, they like, "We? Who is we?" And so Cornbread is like, "We're trying to just create peace, whatever." And so by then I think they start to know that he's a vampire. And so he was like, "Well, can you just give me my money?" At this point, I was so upset with Michael B. Jordan because Michael B. Jordan, or I should say Smoke, hands him this money, and this man tries to bite his arm off, and they shut the door. And then while that is happening, Stack busts the room that he's locked in down, and it's coming after him. So they basically get him out. Mary goes running out, and all of the vampires are out. And so we have a couple of scenes where they're talking about what are they going to do. We have Annie telling them to eat garlic because garlic is what, of course, keeps vampires away. So they eat garlic, they get some steaks. They're trying to prepare for what they're going to do. They know that sunlight is what will kill them, and so they have to make it till the morning, until dawn. And so while all this is going on, the little vampires are having a powwow outside, and that's where we find out Remick is Asian, and he starts trying to talk them into letting them into the Jew joint. Remick talks about, did I say he's Asian? He's Irish. I'm sorry. Remick starts to talk about his background, and we find out that Remick is probably more so he's probably 1,000 years old. He can remember back to when Ireland was colonized and how the Irish lost their land and a lot of things. And so that's where we learn, or the layer that we learn, that he identifies with Black people. And this goes into the theme how Irish and Black people do have similar backgrounds when it comes to what has happened to us in America and just period. And so Remick tries to make it seem like it is great to be a vampire, that they should join. They're going to live forever. He's basically trying to build this cult. And he also talks about how, and I might be going back a little bit, but he also talks about how Sammy's gift is what brought him to that area. Sammy, to me, has the gift to conjure up spirits. And like the father said, when you dance with the devil, you might bring him home. And so this is where we learn where Sammy's music can conjure up different things, but to me, it's good and evil. And so you just have to know how to watch yourself. So we find out that Remick was attracted to Sammy, and he wants to steal his gifts. And the thing about the vampires in this movie is when you become a vampire, Remick, who is the main vampire, gets your memories, and he builds on that, and he uses it. And he wanted to use Sammy because Sammy's gift is able to get people together. It's able to merge generations and different things. And so Sammy, we see as a very important character. But when they going back to this powwow, Remick is going off. Michael B. Jordan, Stack is dancing. Cornbread is dancing. They're just having a field day outside. And so inside the Jew joint, the Asian lady, which is Grace, Chinese lady, her and her husband have a daughter, and she wants to save her daughter. And she's like, we need to get out there. Smoke, you were in the war. You got to stand up. So this lady, this is why I don't like her. I refuse to show her picture because she was my least favorite character in the movie. But I believe she's a very good actress. When you make me dislike you in a movie, you're a very good actress. But this lady bites Smoke because they're trying to stop her from going out, and she basically tells him, come on in. So we get them that they're walking to the Jew joint. This is the scene where they're walking to the Jew joint. And this is the scene where all of them are preparing. So we got Smoke right in the middle. We got Grace. We got Grace on the very end to the right. We got that looks like Sammy to Smoke's right. We got Annie to the left. We got Pearline, and then that is I can't even see who that other person is, but they're preparing. And so in the end, we get them fighting for fighting. There's a lot of casualties. A lot of vampires die, a lot of the people die. And I don't know, it just seemed like this part was weird to me because even though we see them here, it was like more people fighting that weren't vampires, which was so weird to me. So that part, I believe they should have explained that a little more, like where did these extra people come from? But we get to the end. There's a scene where Sammy is being baptized by Remick, and he ends up being saved. Oh, thank you, Shay. Sammy ends up being saved by Smoke, and what we find out is right before this scene, Smoke and Stack were together, and Smoke was about to kill his brother. They had the closest relationship, but we find out later on in the movie, towards the after the credits, that in a scene that comes back, that Smoke told Stack as a vampire that he would let him live if he left Sammy alone. And so Smoke saves Sammy from the vampire. Not only that, there's a backstory to Smoke and Stack's father. Years ago, Smoke saved Stack and killed their father because I guess Stack used to beat, or their father used to beat Stack. And so Smoke, which is this character here, killed their father in order to save Stack. And then we see in the movie that Smoke again is saving Sammy now. And so that was very powerful to me. Like I said, the movie was so good. There were different themes. There are a lot of conversations that can be had. The biggest themes and the biggest takeaways that I saw was that with music is our way to be free. And one of the ending scenes, the very end, well, after the credits, it cuts to a grown-up Sammy. Well, I shouldn't say grown up. An old Sammy. He looks about 80, and there's a famous blues player that plays him. But you have him, and then you have Stack and Mary, who are vampires that have lived forever. They still seem young, but it's the 90s. And there's a part where they ask, I think it is Sammy that asked them what was their best day or best time, or what was the best time of their life. And Stack says that it was this day, the day that they had the juke joint. He got to see the sun, and he was with his brother. And so in the end, it seems very, very sad because he's a vampire. Even though he's living forever, he hasn't seen his brother, because at the end of the movie, Smoke confronts the the White Sheet Gang. The White Sheet Gang, what we find out in the movie, some part of the movie from Remick, basically the guy that sold them the juke joint was setting it up for the White Sheet Gang to come back and kill everybody in that club. That's what Remick told them. And so once Smoke saves Sammy, Sammy goes to his father's church, which is the opening scene, and Smoke goes back to the juke joint. He pulls out a trunk. In the trunk is all of it looks like his weapons from World War I. And the White Sheet Gang show up. They don't have on their sheets. They're in plain clothes. They pull out guns, and Smoke starts shooting them from the bushes or whatever, and he's just shooting away. And that was a great scene to me too. And so he shoots all of them. All of them did. He got a machine gun. He got everything out there shooting the White Sheet Gang. And so it gets to the final part where the guy that sold them the juke joint, it has been shot, and Smoke has been wounded as well. And so Smoke is hallucinating, or I believe he's going into the afterworld. Hey, Ibrahim, it's so good to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Hey, Red Label. But we get to that final scene, and in his, it's like he's in the halfway point in his hallucination, or the halfway point, he sees Annie, which was his, I assume his wife, and their baby that they lost, and she's breastfeeding the baby. And she basically tells him to put out that smoke. I don't want the smoke on the baby, and to come on. And so as she's saying this, the white man that sold them the juke joint is trying to say something to Smoke. Smoke shoots him, and then he's gone. I assume he dies after that. Hey, Okay, Red Label, I'm laughing at your comment. But from there, Smoke, I believe, goes to his heaven, and he gets to be with Annie and their baby. And Sammy, of course, which was the main character, Sammy got to live on and grow old. And in that after credit scene, when Stack, when he runs into Stack the vampire, Stack was like, I can smell death on you. Are you sure you don't want to be a vampire? Sammy was like, I don't live my life. I don't know. So that the movie was phenomenal. There is a scene that I missed. There was a scene after everything that was at the very end. It cuts to Sammy playing his guitar, saying "This Little Light of Mine," and so I saw it on TikTok. What that scene meant to me. So I'm gonna break this down a little bit. So that scene meant to me that he had his own spiritual relationship to God, and to him, his music wasn't evil. And so I think the reason why Sammy did not want to conform to what his father wanted him to do is because it would have been fake. It would have been a fake salvation. And to him, his salvation was playing his music and being able to choose his spiritual relationship with God. And so that's why you see him in his father's church playing This Little Light of Mine at the end. Another scene that meant the fake salvation was when Remick was baptizing him in that water, and Sammy starts to say the Lord's Prayer, and Remick, the vampire, is saying the Lord's Prayer too. And so it meant, that scene meant a lot to me too, because it's like we all go through the motions of being a Christian. Well, those of us that are Christians, we go through those motions of being a Christian, and the different things, saying the Lord's Prayer and all that. But what does it truly mean to us? And if this vampire can say it, it's almost like it means nothing. But you have to have the mindset, the faith of a mustard seed, to know that you have your own relationship with God. So I like that he did not give up his music. I like that he had his own, to me, I'll just say this, he had his own spiritual relationship with God. I like the hoodoo aspects of the movie. It was so many things. I like so many layers of it. Definitely be sure to check it out. I have had many conversations with my husband about this movie. I hope that there's a prequel, because there were so many little eggs dropped in the movie about different people's backgrounds. I like the fact that there was a build up to, like, you got to see everybody's story. I love Delroy Lindo. I love Wumi Musaku, who played Annie. A lot of these characters, and definitely shout out to Mr. Miles Caton. His voice is phenomenal. For him to be only 20 and have a voice that sounds like that, wow. I definitely want to see him in more movies, but this was so good. I know people don't think that there should be a Sinners franchise, but I do. I want to see a prequel. So let me know your thoughts on the movie. Definitely feel free to comment in the comments. I think I'm going to end it here. Yeah, check it out. Let me see what you said. Ibadashi, you said in the Bible, it says the devil will know desires and wants to. I'm not shocked Remick knew the prayer. Right. Exactly. Exactly. I agree with that too. Yes. A prequel will be good. Yes. So shout out to Ryan Coogler. This was so good. Keep doing those movies with Michael B. Jordan. I'm ready for it. Variety Mag show. Yes. I know Variety Mag tried to act like the movie wasn't doing well, or it didn't make a lot of money. Shout out to, I believe it was, what was the actor that said something? Ben Stiller. Ben Stiller came out and basically called them out for making the remarks that they made. So I'm glad that you have actors standing up. I even saw Kevin Bacon. I follow Kevin Bacon on TikTok, and he enjoyed the movie. He said this is a great movie. Make sure you go see it. I give it a 100 out of 10. The movie was good. Very, very good. Very good directing. Very good writing. I can't say anything else. I definitely believe it should get movie of the year. So be sure to check it out. I've seen the movie 3 times. Oh my goodness. So me and my husband saw it Thursday at a regular movie theater. I think we are going to see it this week again at the IMAX theater. So I want to see it again. I definitely want to see what I catch the next time. And then I'm going to purchase it on Prime, wherever they're selling it at. I'm going to purchase it because it's something that I want to own. I want to support this man. Biggest box office in theaters since 2019, and the Cracker Jacks tried it. Yes, since Us. 2019 was Us, so it's been the biggest movie since Us. Yes, yes. I want to see it at the IMAX. I want to see it at the IMAX. So, yes, thank y'all for joining me. I'm going to try to come back some more and talk about some TV shows. I enjoy reviewing the movies, though. I am a movie person. I like a variety of movies. So, I think that's what I'm leaning towards. This was a really, really good live. I enjoyed talking about this. But be sure to check out Sinners. If you guys know of some more period movies about blackness in the South, let me know, because that's my favorite genre of movies. I love black period movies. So, and I love Lovecraft Country, which was a period show. I hate that they took that away. They need to make a movie about that. But be sure to check me out. Yeah, you can pre-order it. I believe you can pre-order it on Prime. Well, Prime is where I'll be ordering all my movies, but I'm gonna check. Let me see. Let me check online real quick. You can pre-order the movie now on the streaming services. Oh, it's okay. Yes, catch that replay. Make sure you catch the replay. And thank you, Eva Rashid. I love seeing you, girl. I feel like I haven't seen you in a long time, but I haven't been on in a long time too. Center streaming. Let me see. Where can you buy it? Well, I see it's on Fandango for $24.99, but I believe you can buy it on Prime too. So it's $24.99. I'm definitely gonna buy this. I bought what did I buy? I bought not The Lion King, Little Mermaid. I bought a lot of movies to try to support our people, our actors and actresses in the movies and stuff. So let me know what you thought of the movie. Leave it in the comments. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Again, this is Candace with the Candy Shop. I am out. I'm going to play my outro. I didn't get to play my intro. I haven't heard it in a long time, so I'm going to play it now. But thank you guys for joining me. Good night. But I want to welcome everybody to my channel, The Candy Shop. I am so excited. The Candy Shop. So this is my story time, The Candy Shop.